Kids, it's raining like a sumbitch out, but we're out on the road again, and if you might have noticed, something looks a little different. That's right. That's right. No more Intrepid. Got ourselves a heavy Chevy.
97 Chevy Silverado, baby.
I mean, I still got my Dodge. That ain't going nowhere, but, you know, it was high time we both had a truck again. And it's happened. It is
right.
Glorious. And this is the first official video. So, you know, why the hell not?
Yeah. Went just fogging up like the son of a bitch.
Yeah. Yeah, we were out doing our usual horsing around, and, you know, I had the camera here. I thought, fuck it, why not?
Let's unveil the new truck.
That's right. Just in time for some winter fun. Yeah. It's going to be a good thing. Yeah. There's a little bit of work to be done yet to get it, you know, just right. But, you know, so far so good. So we were, last time around when we were out and about, we were talking about how later this month we're going to be doing our follow-up video for the Christmas lights. And we were kind of out scouting around a little bit to get some locations. Because we're going to go somewhere different this year. We're just not 100% sure where. We have some ideas kicking around. But we didn't want to, you know, hit up the same neighborhood because we've already seen that.
We've already covered that aspect.
And most people do the same sort of thing every year. You know, so we got to move on and find, you know, bigger and better things. So that was kind of what part of our purpose for being out tonight was. And, you know, that's what we did. Didn't really have a topic in mind. We just kind of, you know, started the camera and do what we always do. We just make shit up as we go. But, something I think I will talk about a little bit, and, you know, we mentioned similar things in the past, but, you know, I don't know if I've necessarily ever told, you know, a lot of stories about the holidays, you know, about myself personally. You know, like I told the story about my Gram's neighbor and how she left her sweet potatoes in the microwave. I told that story before. This past summer, that lady actually passed away. But, you know, I got to thinking, you know, we're creeping up on Christmas. And,
it sure the hell don't look like it yet.
It don't look like it around here anyway, but, I was thinking maybe I should talk a little bit about some, you know, of my past holidays. Because I don't think we've ever really done that. Not that I can recall anyway. Except for, you know, that one story I told about, you know, that lady. But, I was talking about, you know, the area we're in is where, you know, a lot of my family is from. You know, on my dad's side of the family. And I can remember as a kid, you know, we used to come out here and some years it was my grandparents' place, some years it was one of my aunt and uncle's places, but I can remember we always had some sort of little Christmas gathering. It was usually on Christmas Eve or like maybe a few days before, you know, because most everybody else, you know,
did their own thing.
Did their own thing. Like we always, you know, when I was growing up, we went to my grandmother on my mother's side of the family. She's the one that you all know by now.
Yep.
You know, we always went there, but we would also go to my grandparents on my dad's side of the family, or my aunt and uncles, or whoever was holding it that year. You know, it was your pretty standard Christmas gathering. You know, everybody was there. There was food. You know, people brought gifts and stuff to exchange. And, you know, I just remember one year in particular, you know, my grandmother, you know, my other one that you guys never got to see, but, you know, she was, I've mentioned this about her before, you know, she was kind of a big lady, but, you know, my God, did that woman know how to cook. Yes, she could cook, and you did not leave her house unless you were fed.
No.
That was just the way she was, and there was no two ways around it. And if you didn't let her feed you, she'd, you know, guilt trip. She would guilt trip you until you let her do it. So I always let her do it. And I remember one year, her and I sitting at the kitchen table. It was Christmas time, and just between the two of us, we polished off a whole ring of bologna.
Wow.
Just her and me. And I remember it was like, it had like honey in it.
Oh, shit.
It was some good shit. I forget where it is she got it. Somebody that they knew. That was some good shit. But we finished that off by ourselves. We had like a brick of cheese there. You know, I think we went through like a whole bottle of Pepsi, like a whole 2-liter.
That was just weird.
And that was, you know, just the two of us. You know, my grandmother and me.
I'm trying to get my bearings straight here. Where the fuck
Hang her right.
Hang her right.
But yeah. That was what we did one Christmas Eve. Just her and me, just sitting there at the kitchen table having a good old time, eating our bologna and cheese.
Ooh, do that.
Yeah, the road's a little slick here.
No, not only that. I don't want to beat the shit out of this thing too much.
Right, but anyway. And trying to remember some other Christmas memories from out there. Because, you know, we didn't go every year, but a lot of years we did. And there was one year we went to my aunt and uncle's place. They lived in like a mobile home. You know, it was nice, you know, but it was just like your typical single wide trailer, you know. And I remember everybody was fascinated by they had one of the singing Santa Claus wreaths.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And everybody had to trip it off and listen to it play music and all that shit. And, you know, it's like every 5 minutes someone was over there bumping it or waving at it or something like that to get it to go off. And, I mean, the thing I remember about it most, though, was the Santa Claus that was on it looked creepy as hell. Yeah, look at that. East Broad Top and the Rock Hill Trolley Museum have a nice little Christmas display this year.
Huh.
But
yeah, that's an early bonus to our new Christmas special.
But yeah, as I was saying, this thing was creepy looking because it was just Santa's head, and it was shaped kind of like a crescent moon because it went around with the wreath.
Yeah.
And it was just creepy as hell. But everybody was fascinated by this thing because, oh, you wave in front of it and play Christmas music.
Kaye.
Yeah, ooh, whoop-de-doo. But, you know, going back, you know, kind of drifting off from that a little bit, still on the idea of Christmas memories, thinking back to some that I remember, you know, at our home where we lived, you know, when I was growing up. You know, because I don't remember a whole lot before, you know, we lived in that house. I remember some things, but, like, I don't remember any holidays or anything like that. Like, the first Christmas I really remember was in our house, you know, after we moved. That was the first one I really remember growing up.
Mm-hmm.
But,
they had a lawnmower back there decorated.
Why the fuck not?
A push mower.
Why the fuck not?
Had bows and all sorts of shit all over it.
Hey, if you got it, use it, you know? But as I was getting at, you know...
Sorry.
I remember we had... I would guesstimate it was probably about a 7-foot Christmas tree. And I don't think this was the first year we lived there. I think this was like the second year we lived there. Because I don't remember much about the year before. But at the time we had cats. We had like 4 of them in the house. And we had a couple of climbers. I don't remember which one specifically it was that did it, but one of our cats just royally destroyed our Christmas tree one year. So we had to take it down before Christmas was even there yet. And at that time, my grandmother had bought me a little 2-foot Christmas tree that I had in my room. So we moved it to the living room, and we just had a little pissy 2-foot Christmas tree that year. And I still have pictures of that in an album somewhere.
Huh.
But yeah, I remember that year.
Yeah, those would have been some dead cats.
Well, knowing how my mother is, you know,
Yeah.
that wouldn't have happened. But right. And I remember some of the things I got that year, mainly because I still have the pictures. But I got a sleeping bag that had this big frog on it.
Huh.
And it was kind of a girly looking frog.
Oh.
It had like big eyelashes and stuff, and it was, yeah, I'm not sure, you know, where that came from, or, you know, so many questions, so few answers. But I had that thing for years. And I remember they got me like this, it was like a toy electric guitar. It had like a cheap little amp with it, you know, and it had like a microphone with it and a stand, and, you know, it wasn't anything fancy, but I remember getting that, and a few other odds and ends. And I believe after that, I don't really remember what we did after that for a Christmas tree, because I think that was the Christmas of '94.
Wow.
So that tells you how long ago that was. I'm trying to remember.
That makes me feel old because I don't even remember back then. I only have that on video.
But I do remember a few years later we had a live tree like in a pot.
Yeah.
You know, it was only like 3 foot, but it was alive, like it wasn't cut. It was still in the pot.
Yeah.
I remember we had that, and then after that we went back to an artificial tree. I think they had bought like a 3-foot one that we just had on a table, and they just didn't use it that one year. But because we never used our big one again because the cats destroyed it. But yeah. Speaking of which, the year we had the live tree, I actually remember getting another toy electric guitar. Like a better one. Because I think secretly my parents were trying to hint to me they wanted me to take up playing guitar. But I was never that interested in it. Because I remember one year my grandpap gave me an old guitar that he repaired. You know, just an old acoustic, you know. And I had that thing for the longest time. I mean, it was beat the fuck up. But it was still playable.
Right.
And it was just something I never really bothered to pick up and learn.
I tried it years ago, but I never really had a good teacher.
That's just it. Like, nobody ever had the time to sit down and teach me.
Yeah.
You know. But that's some things I remember from Christmases past. And of course, every year, you know, like I said, we always met at my grandmother's place, you know, on my mother's side of the family. And she always had a little tabletop tree. And, you know, I always helped her decorate it. Even to this day, I still help her decorate. Like, if you saw the last moment with Nate's grandma I put up before this, she talked about that. But I still help her with that. And the year that 9/11 happened, 2001, we decided, her and I together decided, she had every year up to that, she had always decorated her Christmas tree in just red and white. You know, red and white ornaments, you know, red balls, white ornaments and stuff, white lights, you know. We decided that year we were going to add blue.
Yeah.
Because of 9/11. And we got at that point, her little teeny Christmas tree was getting pretty scruffy and beat up, so she bought a new one. A nice 6-footer stood on the floor. And that year, you know, since it was right after 9/11, That was the first year we did the red, white, and blue tree. And we did that for the next few years until she moved. And when she moved, initially, we didn't have a Christmas tree at all. You know, she didn't have one because we still met at the house because I live there now, you know. But our family had gotten so big by that point, we really couldn't fit everybody in there anymore. So the second year that my grandmother lived where she lives now, I got her the Christmas tree she has now, and I bought all red and white ornaments as a throwback to what we always did growing up.
Right.
And this year we put the blue back in there.
Huh.
She bought some more red and blue balls, and we brought back the red, white, and blue tree. Because we went through a lot of her ornaments, and a lot of them were just little cheap wooden things.
Right, yeah.
That she really didn't want to put on anymore. So that's why we replaced them with more red and blue balls. So basically just keeping with tradition. And that first year, coincidentally, was also the year that the incident with the sweet potatoes happened. It's like, yeah, this was a great idea. Let's do this every year. But yeah, so that's sort of some of my Christmas memories. And plus, another thing that I don't do anymore, and I'll explain why, but I always had a train set. My aunt and uncle and my grandmother bought me a whole bunch of stuff to have a really elaborate LGB train set. Now, they don't make LGBs anymore to my knowledge, so they're very hard to find and they can get very expensive.
Right.
But I had one, and I used to put it up every year, you know, until I got older. Then it was, you know, packed away in the attic. But a couple years ago, it was like right after I had gotten my Pontiac. You know, I'm sure some of you remember that from our past road trip videos.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, at the time I was, you know, very broke. You know, and the tires that came with that car were cheap and they were not good.
No, they suck.
So my uncle made a deal with me. I have two much younger cousins now, you know, and my uncle was well aware of the fact that I never used my train set anymore. I don't know exactly how much they would have all been worth, but long story short, the deal was I give him my entire train set, everything that goes with it. He would put a brand new set of tires on my car, and that's what he did.
With Nate's Choice tires.
Right. So, of course, I picked out decent ones. I didn't go cheap.
Yeah.
And they were still good when I got rid of that car. I'd say they were, still about half tread?
Yep.
You know, it's kind of a shame they had to go with the car, but I just couldn't find anybody that wanted them.
Somebody would have took them off. They would have took them off and sold them.
But, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But, yeah. That was probably one of the most generous Christmas presents I ever got. You know, all things considered. You know. And, I'm trying to think of some other Christmas memories, because, you know, we do pretty much the same thing every year, so there's not really a whole lot to talk about, you know. I mean, I could go on about different gifts that I remember getting. Like, I remember one year I got a Polaroid camera, and I used that thing for a lot of different stuff. And for those of you out there who remember Polaroid cameras, you'll also remember that the Polaroid film was really fucking expensive.
Yes.
Because, you know, you got instant results. You know, like today, you have your digital cameras and your phones and shit. You know, you can see the picture, you know, and you can choose whether or not you want to put it, you know, on paper. You know, and you know, you have instant gratification. You know, like this picture turned out great, this picture turned out like shit. You know, these days, if a picture turns out shitty, you just delete it, no big deal. You know, back in them days, you know, with your Polaroid cameras, yeah, you had an instant picture, but if it turned out like shit, you wasted, you know, a Polaroid shot.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, I used to take pictures of that thing all the time. And one thing I remember about that camera was one year my mother bought me a pack of Polaroid film. It had like a party border around it. It had balloons and all sorts of shit. But of course, you know, when you change a Polaroid cartridge, you know, it would always spit a dummy one out. You know, one that was meant to be no good, and if you swapped them out, it would spit out a dud picture and you wasted one.
Yeah.
So I took a lot of pictures with that border that really didn't call for it, but, you know, I didn't have any other way of using them. But, I know it used to drive people nuts when I would take that camera places because those Polaroid cameras were noisy. You know. And for you youngins out there who don't remember when, you know, there weren't digital cameras, you know, and other than Polaroids, you know, you had your regular old film cameras.
Yeah.
And there were different types out there, you know, with different types of film. My grandmother used to have an old 110 camera. And if you don't know what a 110 is, then, you know, you're really young. But
look it the fuck up.
basically it was a type of film where it had one reel on one side, one on the other, and it was really small.
Yep, I had one too.
But those things actually took decent pictures.
Oh, yeah, they did.
And I remember my grandmother took picture after picture with her old 110 camera. You know, not just Christmas time, but, you know, all the time. And I still have a lot of those old shots, and a lot of them look really nice.
Yeah, they do.
But I think the more common one was the 35 millimeters, which had more of a normal looking film in them, you know. And judging by the fact we're stopping at the gas station, I think this is a prime time to take a break and come back with something else to talk about. Okay, so the pit stop's over, and I don't really think I was getting anywhere with what I was talking about. So, you got anything?
Hold on.
Yeah, this one here's got to have about 18 cups of coffee a day.
I live on that shit.
I know you do. In fact, I'll tell a quick story while you're getting situated. Like, when we were growing up, you know, going through high school, like, he used to actually bring his own coffee pot to my house and shit. That's the honest
story.
Yes, that's the honest to God truth. Like when we would stay with my grandmother, you know, he'd bring his own fucking coffee pot and every shit.
Yep. It's great.
And she still remembers that.
Oh, huh?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, of course. Oh yeah. You think she would forget something like that?
Hell no.
I mean, yeah, she might be 90, but she remembers shit.
Son of a bitch.
But yeah. And this is us doing nothing.
Well, you know, we're kind of at a red light. You know.
Yeah, you know, not a whole hell of a lot happening here. But,
Well, if we drive about 40 more miles, I could put 130,000 miles on this thing.
there you go. All right, now we're moving. Now shit's going down. Yeah, wet roads. There we go.
Tear that transmission the rest of the way out.
That's right.
Tell them to come pick the piece of shit up.
That's right. Fuck it. You're getting a new one anyway.
Yeah, in case, because I just basically mentioned that my truck is getting a new transmission. I bought it on the 23rd of November.
Uh-huh.
It came with a 30-day powertrain warranty.
Right.
Now, I don't know whether they knew that the transmission was bad or not, but it is.
Right.
It slips. It shifts hard. You know. thing about a 4L60E transmission, they were Chevys, basically a baby transmission.
Right.
You get it hot once, it's done. You beat the guts out of it too many times, it's just not gonna work.
Right. We told stories of Chevy truck transmission failure before.
Yeah. Like,
In a truck very similar to this one.
a year older.
Just a year older than this one. But that was a very problematic year anyway.
Yeah. And that year, the 96, was the only year a transmission would work in that 96
Right.
1500.
And that was the bitch of it.
Yeah. Because it was the first year of OBD2, which is Onboard Diagnostics 2. For you people that don't know what that is the computer system in the vehicle.
Right.
And I hate driving through this spot of the highway, because no matter what you drive through here,
It hydroplanes like a
You
motherfucker.
hydroplane like a motherfucker. Now my car, not so much. It didn't.
My truck hydroplanes all the time through here.
Well, you have shitty tires on your truck right now. Well, they're not like bolder than a baby's ass, but they're not the best tire in the world.
No. But anyway, I now that we've gotten, the tech spec report out of the way,
Yeah, from the master mechanic here.
getting back to the subject that we made up as we went along, Christmas memories.
Do I have any? Yes.
Right.
I do. I can remember, a matter of fact, if I were to watch the video, the videos that I have, because every year my dad always videotaped our Christmas.
Right.
Every year. Up until like 2000 or 2001.
Right.
Videotaped my very first Christmas. All that good happy horse.
I apologize for shaky cam here. I'm trying to open my Dr. Pepper. There we go. Take a little romp through Mapleton while we're at it.
Sneak up on a Corvette.
Yeah, what the hell?
They could easily beat us.
Yeah, but they're allowed. It's a Corvette.
No, that's a Camaro.
Is it?
Yeah.
Still. It's a Camaro. It's all good. Still in the same family. But anyway, as you were saying,
I can remember 94, like Nate said. Well, that winter, oh my God.
that was a mean-ass winter.
That was a mean motherfucking winter. I have that on video.
93 and 94 were both mean.
Yeah. Well, that 93 to 94, I remember, we have it on video. It was right after Christmas, and we got a blizzard. I mean, it was.
Oh, did we ever?
Like 4 fucking feet of snow, and there was no power just about anywhere.
Yeah. I talked about this a little bit with my gram in this past February's episode of her show. We talked about the blizzard of 93, 94.
And oh my God, that year was nuts. We've never had that much snow since. Whoa, what are you
I'll
doing?
get it later. My drink fell down.
Oh.
It's on the floor somewhere. Matter of fact, it's right there. I got it.
To the 4-wheel drive shifter.
Yep.
Which, that's one other thing I love about this truck. No!
No push button
Push
four-wheel
button
drive.
four-wheel drive.
Which is rare in one of these.
Yeah, and shit, I just turned the radio on.
Yeah, whatever.
We don't need that.
No.
We don't need copyright infringements.
Yeah.
But I remember '94 Christmas. You know, my brother was born. You know, I'm trying to help him. You know, rip open his presents. He's just a baby. He doesn't even know what the hell's going on.
No.
I'm trying to rip open his presents while my mom and dad are smacking my ass away from them. And, you know, then the next year, '95, it's still the same thing. I ripped through all my presents. Don't remember what I got. And, of course, what do you know? What am I doing? Trying to open my brother's gifts. And, you know, as years passed, I can remember, I think it was 95 or 96 or 97. I got my very first aquarium.
And so it begins.
So my fascination with fish began, which they began well before that, when my grandfather came up with this little idea to make little makeshift turn a 1 gallon pickle jar, or pickle, no, it was a jar, but it was plastic. Turned it into a little aquarium. And I had about 50 million fucking guppies in this little 1 gallon tank. And then that Christmas is when my dad got me my first 10 gallon aquarium. But I remember also the last Christmas I had with my grandfather. I spent the night with my grandmother and grandfather. My grandmother and I cut down a tree out of their front yard. It's just like it was maybe 3.5, 4 foot little blue spruce. And my grandfather was very ill. He had a lot of lung issues, and he was a very ill man. He helped us set the tree up and, you know, helped us put the lights on it. And he laid down for a nap. And by the time he woke up from his nap, we had the tree all decorated. We had the tinsel on it and everything. He wakes up and he looks up at the tree and he said, "That is the most beautiful tree I've ever saw in my life." And I still remember that to this day.
Yeah, something like that you would.
And, you know, after that, Christmases really weren't so much the same because my grandmother sold her house and bounced from place to place. But I remember our last Christmas that we had with my grandmother. It was probably one of my best Christmases I've ever had. But now that my grandmother is no longer with us, it really isn't the same. Because that was her favorite holiday. But the last Christmas we had with my grandmother, we had it at my parents' house. We all decorated, you know, we all pitched in, decorated the tree, and, you know, had one hell of a time. Laughed, carried on, reminisced about past Christmases, and, you know, all that good stuff. And, this year, well, now we have my daughter, which she is going to be spoiled friggin' rotten this Christmas.
Of course.
And I mean, she's not really going to remember it because she's only going to be 4 months old, right before Christmas.
But still. And I think this is a good note to end on tonight, because, you know, every family goes through stuff like this. You know, you have your loved ones, you know, they come and they go, you know, and that's the main thing, you know. Remember the old, but cherish the new, you know. Make new memories, you know. Spend it with those you have. Remember those that you had, you know. That's what you do when it comes to Christmas. And on that note, I think we're going to go ahead and leave this one. So next time we see you guys, it's time to bash all the ugly Christmas lights we can find again.
Hell yeah.
So we'll see you then.